everybody, I'm here with a Kenmore. It's a Sears Kenmore. They all became Sears at one time. And the model number, it says right there, it is a 158.16012. Okay. That's kind of nice to know what that is so I can look up the information if I need any help with anything. Let's go over the things we did to it. There is a pan on the bottom right underneath here. I always open those up and check them out, make sure the seal is okay. I check to see where the grease is at. Sometimes the grease will lay at the bottom and that's not touching the gear. Figure out what's going on with the gear. Clean out the gear, find out there's a bunch of lint and crap. It gets caught in there because the machine, when it's running, is running the gears and they're coming up in here and they turn and they somehow gets hold of that stuff and then it gets kind of clogged. So what I go in and I go in with a special tool and I clean it out, and then I take all the grease that's down there that's still in good cushion. If the grease is not in good repair, then I take it completely out and put new stuff in. But this one was pretty good. The grease is still pliable and easable to use work. So I had to, reset it. In other words, put it back up into the gears after I cleaned them out. And it seemed to be turning a little better. I took this apart and I cleaned all the stuff out of there, any strings or threads or anything I find. I checked the needle out. When the needle, people always say to me, well, I can't tell when it has a spur. Well, when you run it on your finger and you run it this way, okay, because you got these little, if you have like I have fingers, you have like calluses on your finger. If you run your needle across your callus and it smoothly, basically feels like it's cutting you, the needle's fine. If the needle gets caught on one of the calluses on your finger, then you know the needle's not fine, and that means it's probably got a spur on the end of it. You need to toss it and get a new one. So that's what I did. I tossed it, get a new one. This, when you open this, it shows you the light is in here, okay? And you keep this area cleaned and oiled, so you don't have to me always clean and oiling it. This is your pressure foot tension. I'm running a mediocre denim. It's like basically it's a camouflage, but it's a denim. I inside it out so you can see the threading better. If you're running it on a medium but weight, that goes here. Suede, that kind of stuff is right here. If you need to go all the way down, that's more like duck and heavy leather or something like that. Not super heavy, not like if it's like this thick, it won't run this machine. You would have to put a bigger motor on it, and you have to put a special like a 20 needle on it in order for it to punch through, okay? Because the needle's made, it's called a sharp, and it's made to make it really pointy and it goes through the leather a lot better. A lot of people say, well, I can run leather through the machine. Well, usually this motor will not let it go through. You have to get a bigger motor, and they used to be able to, you can attach it from the bottom and then put the bigger belt onto the motor and then it'll run it. I mean, this machine will run with a bigger motor. I mean, they've done it before. And the cam would fit in here, but I took the cam out, so it's not in there anymore. I cleaned that whole area up too. That was real nasty. So now it's cleaned. I had to figure out what was wrong with the rewinder. It wouldn't work and everything. Now I got it to work. I got this thing to turn. The problem is the tire was flat and it grind up against this here. And in this area, when it gets ground up in there, then the tire doesn't really want to move, because now the teeth that's in there that grabs the tire to be able to turn it is all matted full of stuff. So we took that all out, cleaned it up, and let's see, I'll show you. So what I do is I take the flat tire. This tire is really super flat. I don't know if you guys can see how flat that is, and it has some cuts in it. And this is all the yuck I got from the tire to clean up that area, because it's just not good for that to be on there. And then that way, when the new tire, which is on there now, it's nice and round, grabs a hold, it won't rip it all to shreds. Because that's what this was starting to do, is starting to rip because it's getting harder. And that's the needle that was messed up. And then I had some dust bunnies in there. And all it goes back. Whenever I get out of your machine, goes back to you. I don't keep anything. This is her cam. This is what a cam looks like. It's a zigzag cam. But the different holes do different things. So I couldn't figure out exactly where in the heck I could put that cam, where I need to put that cam. So I kind of moved it around. I said, okay, so it's doing something different. And I know it's certain about how the holes run, and I don't really know how all that works. So I didn't want to sit there and fiddle with it, because different levels. You got this one and then this one. One's zigzag and one's not. I think this is the zigzag. I couldn't get it set to go down there. It was staying up here, so it's doing weird things. Anyway, and she wants to sew some suede. I like a stretchy suede, and you want to go with a smaller stitching because this suede will stretch if you do too big, and then you end up with puckers, and we don't like puckers. Anyway, so, and it all goes back to her, all her stuff. And let's go over a little bit about the sewing machine. Trying to think of anything else oh yeah, up here's a gear that runs all this, and this here, and that had no grease in it, so I had to re-grease it. It was just like, I don't know where the grease went to, but it's not there, or nobody never greased it, and they thought they had to oil it. You actually keep putting grease in there. You can add the oil because it keeps that grease nice and soft. But the bad problem is if you just use grease and not oil, you can have breakdown, and then the metal parts will start rusting, and you have issues. And we didn't have any rust this time, so it was not that bad. Anyway, let's go over all the knobs and all the fun things in it, okay? We always call this a hand wheel, and yes, you can untighten this area here to run the bobbin, or you can run the bobbin anyway because you have an extra spindle, and then it runs across this area here and back here, and then you click this and it should run it, okay? You can run while you're sewing, but you got to make sure you watch so that it doesn't get caught down in there. If you do, you have to call me, and I have to come in here and clean it out for you. Anyway, but if you don't want to run, that's fine too. But anyway, if you want to thread the machine, let's go ahead and go over that real quick. You come from, this is an old spool, so you want to come from the back, and you go into this, and I always kind of like go like this to put it in. People try to thread them in. It's easier just to take it and go the same way the cork is going, the corkscrew. So you kind of go like that, and it goes in the hole. And the same thing here, goes like that and goes in the hole. Then you have your you got to get ready to go pull through the tension, but it won't go through the tension until you put the foot up, because right now it's real tight. You know, it's pretty tight. I've been trying to adjust it, so you can't turn that because you don't want to turn that on. Anyway, so then now it's really loose. See how loose it is, and it'll go through the symbols, okay? And it comes up, and you pull back this way, and it comes back, and it hooks into that. Then you hook it into this. Then you go through the uptake, down through this area, then into one of these. Actually, you can do a double needle if you want to, but I have it set up for like one needle. And here, and then down into where that little thing is at. Yeah, into the needle right here. And then, I think there's one in there. There's a tiny corkscrew right there, and then into the needle, okay? When you want to move this, okay, don't have the foot up because now it's too loose and it will unhinge itself. So you want to do that, and then you can adjust it to where you want it to go, okay? So, I have it right here set like between a 5 and a 6 in that area, because this will run this really well. Let's see here. We'll go over everything here. This is your width. Like she's put a little note on there so she don't forget. But this is width, and this is placement of your needle. So I'll have it in the middle. You can have it to the where you like to put it, okay? Like I personally like it in the middle. I can see it better. And then you have your stitch selector knob. S means straight stitch. S means straight stitch, makes sense. This is your length right here. This is your reverse. Length, reverse. And then if you want to do some like stitches like this or like this, you need that cam. You don't have to have it, but the cam makes it more, better to see it. If you don't have the cam in there, it'll be on there, but it's kind of like a wave. It does a wave set an actual thing, and same here. It'll do a wave. It doesn't do an actual, stitching. So when you want to reverse, you make sure you push this in, and that whole thing will reverse for you. To turn it on, actually, let's go over this. This is a feed dog drop. So otherwise, you can adjust your feed dogs to what level of dropness you want. Right now, I have it set for the highest. Okay? And then you turn it on, you click it here, and it turns on the light, so the machine's on. Now, actually, the machine is on without the light, so if you have small children, grandchildren, or anything like that, you want to unplug it from the wall to keep any kid putting their finger in this when it's moving so they don't get stuck in their finger, because we don't want that in their finger. I know, I was a little girl one time, and my grandma's, Kenmore, didn't have that, safety feature. She should have unplugged it, but she didn't. I thought, well, I can run it a little bit. I didn't know you're supposed to get your finger out of the way, and it got me. It literally went through my finger, and I started screaming. Grandma comes in, you're not supposed to be running my machine without me. And I said, I'm sorry. And then she said she had to back it out and help me with getting my finger out, because I was crying. It hurt so bad. And even though it didn't get the moon, but it still got the finger up here, so it was not fun. And she said she was happy it didn't get the moon, because I would have issues with my fingernail the rest of my life. But I let grandma help me and never do that again without her permission, or don't run her machine unless she's present. Now, she's not present no more, because if she was, she'd be like 20 years old or something like that. But she died at 99 years old. So I got her sewing machine, but I didn't get her all the things that went to the sewing machine. So I just had the basic sewing machine. Didn't even get the manual. Got the case. I told my dad, "Where's all the rest of it?" "Oh, I donated. Somebody bought it." "Oh, fine, whatever." Anyway, so I don't have all the stuff that went with it. So, but that's okay. That's one of those other wonderful little stories. And hers was a more modern all metal sewing machine. This is more of an older box kind of version. Hers was kind of smooth and round, and it was kind of like cream color. Anyway, I'll show you that one someday when I get it up and running. I just haven't had it up and running. I had it running once, and my daughter borrowed it and paying it back, and it ain't running no more. So I have to look at it again. Anyway, so let's see how this one runs and see how it sounds, okay? All right, get my foot on the pedal. That's the hard part, trying to know where to put the foot at. Give me a second here. All right, here we go. And it's humming all the way through. You want to hit the reverse by pushing this. So you're going to push this, and it will go in reverse and goes forward again. Now I have it on the widest stitch. A lot of people ask me, how do you know when a machine has the widest stitch? And I said, well, I'll show you exactly how to find out. I think I have my tool here. Yep. And I'll show you how to do it. Because a lot of people ask me that question all the time. How do I know how wide the stitching is? And I said, well, I'll have to show you. So I'm going to show that today. See how wide that stitching is right there? And they do it by the inch. So you take your little ruler here, and you do it by the inch. So you take it from, let me see, where is it at? From where the backup's at. Here's the inch right there. And you count how many, if I can see, get this in there, how many stitches it got within that inch. So you do it from the 1, and you do it from here. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 stitches in an inch. That's a good Kenmore sewing machine. Now, Singer sometimes could get up to 7 large stitches in 1 inch, but it's really hard to find those ones. And plus, 6 stitches in an inch is actually very good, because that means you can do all kinds of stuff. So that's one thing I like about that. And now I would do not rewind, but reverse, but I would have to put that in, and I don't want to do that right now. So we're just going to do quick straight stitch so you can see what it's doing, how it sounds. And then you want to put it down so we can lift up and turn it around easier. There's the stitching right there. It's the one we just got done doing. And there it is on the bottom. Now, I don't know if you could tell. I don't think this one has it. No, I had another one, which I don't know what I did. Oh, here it is. I got it down here. Let me second here. And this is the first one I did, okay? And yeah, it's stitched fine on the bottom, but when you flipped it over, it started doing this. And that's called spaghetti. And I have a video on that if you ever had this issue. It teaches you how to reset this little guy right there. And you can see where I had tried to reset it. And then you can see how then it starts sewing a little better. See how this is the first time I ran it and it was pulling through. Really means the bottom means the top tension, okay? And the top tension, which is running fine, is really the bottom tension. It's the opposite of what you think. It's kind of like a great machine for people that are dyslexic, because they'll understand the machine, because we're already backwards anyway, because I'm a backwards kind of girl. Anyway, so in the front looks fine. In the back, it wasn't doing so well. So it took me a while to get it adjusted. You can see me working with it. And then this is where you don't have the cam in it, and it kind of does this like scallop look to it. This is actually that intermittent stitching, but if you don't have a cam, it kind of gives you that scallop look. And that's what I was doing, was playing with it. And same thing here, it doesn't give you the definite, drop stitch. You have to have the cam to get that nice looking firm drop stitch if you're doing a hideaway stitch. So that's what I wanted to show people, because the people all the time says, well, I can't get it to do it. Do you have any cams? No, I didn't know you need cams. Yeah, cams will help you run your machine better. But anyway, that's the piece I tossed in the trash can. I figured I'd give her the one that I'm working with now, so she could see how her machine is doing. Boy, when you have kids that bring your fans back, they don't put them back in the same spot, and they always get stuck on my feet down here. Anyways, see if we get this go forward again, so I can get this ready for her to be picked up. I'm just going to put the needle down right about now. There we go. And then that will be, you need to keep this hub down. That'll keep it from being broken. So if you ever hit it real hard, it's actually it's sturdy. It's not going to break that easily. It says it's down. And that way when you're traveling, you don't have to worry about breaking your sewing machine's needle or anything else. But other than that, this is a really nice heavy duty Kenmore sewing machine. And if you have one like it, I'd love to hear from you. And it'll be appreciated to know where you got your machine from, a relative, somebody passed down or passed it down to you, or maybe someone bought it special for you one time or something like that. A lot of people ask me how old these are. Well, if you take the serial number right here, which I cannot see it, and you go online, look up the serial number, it tells you what year it was made, okay? The model number doesn't tell you anything. People say, oh yeah, that it says on the model number. No, because they might have made one, they made this one like maybe, what, like I'll just say pretend it's the 70s, okay? They made one in the 70s, then they made one in the 80s. It looks the same, okay? Or if they made it in the 50s, they made another one like it in the 60s. So you really can't really tell by the model number as much as the serial number, okay? Anyway, well, have a blessed day. Like the video, share the video, and let me know what you think. And if you're having issues with your machine, just let me know, and I'll see what I can do to help you. Now, this machine's not my machine, so it'll go back, so don't ask me to do more on it, because I can't, because it's somebody else's machine. I do not have this machine. This is a customer sewing machine. I hope she likes her video. Anyway, have a blessed day. I guess I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.